like a boss, behave like a worker. Think like a boss, behave like a worker. How does a boss think? What does it take? What is a boss? Is a boss somebody who's in charge? What's he in charge of? It's not just someone who's in charge of people, right? So he's your boss, so to speak, but what's the first thing that we have to be in charge of? Ourselves. Think like a boss. Be in charge of yourself. Wes Watson, a man you're going to hear me quote from time to time, and there are some others, but specifically, there's one quote that sticks in my head is that you will never out succeed your level of self-development. So, what does it take to be in charge of yourself? You have to boss yourself. You're the first person that you have to be a boss to. You will not out-succeed your personal development. How can you get farther than you? So, behave like a worker. You know what my problem was? My problem was I never fit into the job thing. I would always end up there, but it would never last for me. I don't think most people hate being in a job to the degree that I do. It's the worst part of my life when I end up in those situations. But somehow I would keep ending up in those situations. Do you know why? Because when I wasn't in that situation, I failed to behave like a worker. Feel me on this. When you know you got to be in work, you're tired. Fuck. Get up and go. You might not have time for your coffee. Get up and go. You overslept. Pants go on. Get up and go. You're feeling a little sick, but you're out of sick days. Get up and go. You make yourself go when you don't want to go. You believe that you have to, and in a way, you don't want to lose your job. So if you want to keep the job, you do have to. But when you have the freedom to not do that, do you behave the same way? You don't. So you're not going to be able to think, you can't think like a boss, right? And then not behave like a worker. You're just going to find yourself back in another job because you are not functioning. How can you work for yourself if you don't work for yourself? How can you work for yourself if yourself isn't working? You gotta work yourself. And I'm not trying to be fancy and like I'm not trying to do wordplay, but think about this. Doesn't it all come together and make sense? Then you wonder why nothing ever works. But, look. This is why you might hear me say this a lot, but this is why I do a video every day. It's starting to get easy. I'm starting to feel comfortable. But there were many days, I'm not in the mood to talk about anything. Had a fight with the woman. Had a fight with the wife. I don't want to talk about anything. Not in a mood. gotta bring myself. You have to treat your pursuits like a job, especially if you want them to become some kind of career. Now, for me, my ultimate goal is to everything I was talking about before. Become the success that you would like to have. You have to become a success. Because you will never you're not going to succeed yourself. Can't succeed yourself if you yourself do not succeed. I'm on a roll today. So, that's I remember chasing money. Had a few different streams of income coming in. I didn't need to pick up a job, right? But I said I can get this job, and with these different, and then I'll have this on top of it, and then wow, thinking short term. And I find myself miserable, as I always end up. Oh, this is the pattern. And I remember specifically, I was delivering food, which I never felt like. It's not like the kind of job that you're like, your chest out, like I'm so proud of what I do. But I was of the mindset where I was like, who gives a fuck, like, what the perception of you? You know what you got coming in, and you know what you can do with this, right? So that's a good thing. To not care about outside perception. That helps a great deal. That goes back to the confidence thing. But I remember specifically just saying to myself, I had this vision. I was watching a lot of motivational stuff, and I just said, I had this vision of, I remember where I was too. I was actually right on Ridge Boulevard, where like 94th becomes like 94th and 95th kind of meet, and it's like you can make like Ridge Boulevard, you make a turn, it becomes Shore Road, and if you stay straight, it becomes like, the fuck is it? Like Marine. Like Marine, I think it's like Marine Avenue or something. And you got to turn for it to stay Ridge, whatever. I was right in that little intersection, and I just had this vision of like, what if I could function in such a way where, like, I'm just on it. I'm on it. There's no fucking self-sabotaging. There's no dropping the ball. What if I could become the success that I want to achieve? Change didn't happen. Even though I had the vision and I had the thought. Had to still suffer. Had to still go through it more. But I think it's all a part of the process. You know, I was still going through the phase. You know what I'm saying? Like a fucking, you know, the skin's starting to shed. You know what I'm saying? And these are the thoughts that are such a gross fucking analogy. But, you know, these are the thoughts that are occurring before it. You know? And, that's what it is. So I wanted to share that little piece with you guys. I think it's very helpful. With the channel, as you probably realize by now, I give you the art. I give you, you know, I talk about certain artists. I talk about elements and certain different things. And then I also want to give you a little bit of the, if I call it motivational stuff, but just this type of stuff. Because I think it's, you know, if these are the things that help me, I think I'm, you know, I feel an obligation to share it. Maybe it can help others, you know, that suffer from the same kind of things that I suffer from. self-sabotaging, procrastination, pleasure chasing. These were things that would held me back greatly. And there's a lot of personal stuff that goes on, but a lot of that stuff I'm gonna save for the Patreon because I don't get into any of my personal life. But I have some, there's some major heavy shit that I have dealt with and deal with. So I'll save those videos for the Patreon. Anyway, I'm gonna wrap up here. I'm gonna see you guys on the next one.